That has got to go. My God, who wants that?
Yeah.
They actually have lead actors on camera in his clip from late 2022, but it's just resurfaced now, saying she's going to be focused on becoming a leader.
That there were certain people that couldn't be hired. There was a whole ecosystem of blacklisting, and then I guess you'd call it sort of de-blacklisting.
There's a 15-second rehearsal clip. No caption, no context. Just a blacked-out stage, a lone spotlight, and a crystal note floating through, "Don't cry for me, Argentina." In a single afternoon, that grainy footage detonated theater Twitter, TikTok, and Broadway Reddit. But here's the twist. Thousands swear the woman in that light isn't the marquee name Rachel Zegler. Laptop detectives slowed every frame, compared posture, breath control, even the way she shifts her weight, and shouted, "Imposter!" Meanwhile, the producers vanished behind airtight silence. No denial, no confirmation, nothing. So who is the phantom? Eva. And why did the official star suddenly disappear into digital smoke? Stick around because the real drama is just beginning. Grab your seat. This mystery rewrites tonight's script. And subscribe. Within hours of the clip surfacing, a digital hurricane formed. It began on a niche theater Discord where one puzzled user wondered, does that even look like Rachel? Minutes later, the video hit TikTok's For You page, and by dawn, it had exploded across every platform that—
Not to add fuel to the Rachel Zegler Oscar fiasco, but why did they have these women, all Disney princesses, all stated as Disney princesses, come out to present, but like not include Rachel Zegler, who's going to be Snow White? They're clearly acknowledging Disney princesses from movies that have not been released yet. Someone must have had this conversation, and then they purposely left her out, even though she was the only one with a hit movie this year of the four. Did anyone else notice this, or am I overthinking?
Still allows a share button. Users paused, rewound, and slow-mo. They compared shoulder angles, the tilt of a chin, the exact instant. The singer lifted her right hand on the downbeat. One amateur vocal coach overlaid spectrograms and ruled the timbre too resonant for Zegler's lighter soprano. Another sleuth built a side-by-side gif of Zegler's West Side Story rehearsal versus the shadowed figure in the spotlight. The motions didn't match. Hashtags multiplied. Not Rachel, Evita Gate, Phantom Eva. In less than 12 hours, Evita Gate topped X's global trends, crowding out the daily outrage cycle. Reddit threads ballooned with timestamps, waveform screenshots, and fiery essays on vibrato width. People who had never bought a theater ticket suddenly debated mezzos versus sopranos as if their theses depended on it. By lunchtime, Broadway box office phones jammed when nervous ticket holders demanded to know whether refunds would be honored if the advertised lead quietly vanished from the marquee overnight, and scalpers, sensing turmoil, immediately slashed resale prices by half. Yet the most compelling clue wasn't technical, it was the silence. Zegler, famous for live tweeting coffee breaks, posted nothing. The production's Instagram, once a fountain of rehearsal selfies, went dark. Reporters emailed care to comment and received bland auto-replies. To theater veterans, that hush rang louder than an off-key finale. Speculation turned to motives. Was this a stealth preview, a publicity stunt, or a catastrophe in slow motion? Fan petitions demanded transparency. TikTok creators promised nightly breakdowns until someone talked. Even mainstream outlets drafted think pieces about authenticity in casting and the perils of instant stardom, but the internet's appetite only sharpened. If the singer isn't Rachel Zegler, who delivered the most talked about 15 seconds of the season, and why are the gatekeepers scrambling to hide her? Hold that question, because the answer is already stepping into the bright spotlight tonight. Now, for all to see. Meet Camila Delgado, the name no Broadway blogger had ever typed before this week, yet now it's ricocheting through every group chat like a secret code. Delgado isn't a social media darling. She's a conservatory-trained mezzo who spent most of her 20s singing in provincial houses from Rosario to Cordoba, collecting rave reviews that never crossed the Atlantic. Her resume lists Maria in a student production of West Side Story, Despina in Così fan tutti, and a summer tour of Evita for Argentine high schools. That's it. No magazine covers, no red—
difficult for me to believe that there is anything redeeming about this project whatsoever. Now, I am sure that we have all seen this viral clip.
Carpet gowns, no viral duet with Lin-Manuel. On paper, she's a nobody, but on stage she's electric. Local critics once described her as a voice dipped in velvet and grounded in granite, a line now plastered across theater blogs hungry for fresh angles. The first breadcrumbs appeared on a fandom forum when someone noticed the mystery singer's rolled Spanish R, the kind you can't fake after dialect coaching. Another user dug up an 8-year-old YouTube video titled Camila Delgado Don't Cry for Me Argentina audition. Same vocal color, same unforced legato, same almost prayer-like stillness during the final madness. Overnight, the clip's comments flooded with "It's her" and "We found Eva." Delgado's Instagram, mostly rehearsal selfies and mate tea memes, jumped from 6,000 followers to 200,000 in 48 hours. Argentine newspapers, catching the social media storm at 3 a.m. Buenos Aires time, splashed her unknown-to-icon story on their morning front pages. She hasn't posted a celebratory emoji. Instead, her bio now reads simply, actress, singer, dreamer, followed by a red rose emoji, Eva Perón's campaign flower. Industry insiders whisper that Jamie Lloyd's creative team brought Delgado in during a closed workshop back in March after chemistry issues with Zegler became impossible to ignore. Unlike Rachel, Delgado speaks Rio Platense Spanish natively, understands Peronist history, and, crucially, can lower her register into a smoky belt that makes the balcony seats vibrate. One rehearsal pianist reportedly told a friend, "When Camila hits the bridge, the orchestra follows her, not the conductor." Yet Delgado's sudden ascent carries its own risks. She's walking into a maelstrom of expectations, legal landmines, and instant fame. If she triumphs, she rewrites casting politics overnight. If she falters, producers can point to her anonymity and pretend none of this ever happened. For now, every spotlight in London seems aimed at the newcomer nobody saw coming, until she stole the show with 15 borrowed seconds. Before anyone could pin down the mystery vocalist, the spotlight swung back to Rachel Zegler and vanished. For a performer who once live-tweeted espresso orders and posted rehearsal selfies between takes, the sudden blackout felt louder than a tantrum in the wings. Her last public activity, time-stamped 3 days before the clip leaked, was a black-and-white photo of an empty proscenium arch captioned, "Sometimes silence is the strongest sound." No emojis, no tag, just a theater lost in the shadows. Commenters assumed it was artsy mood lighting, until Rachel's entire Evita highlight reel disappeared, followed quickly by every story that mentioned the production at all. Fans dug deeper. They discovered her bio no longer listed Eva 2025, and brand new followers had been replaced by an ominous blank. On X, where she once traded playful banter with stage door regulars, her handle went dark. Blue check entertainment reporters attempted polite check-ins. The only reply was the "This user is unavailable" placeholder that appears when a DM is declined or deleted. Even cameo requests, usually delivered within 48 hours, were paused with a boilerplate on hold notice. Meanwhile, backstage gossip oozed through understudy chats. A leaked call sheet dated May 20th showed the lead slot marked TBD, scribbled over with the initials CD in blue highlighter. Customers whispered about a rush order for gowns resized 4 inches narrower in the waist. Measurements matching Delgado, not Zegler. One orchestra member told a friend the rehearsal pianist had taped Rachel's vocal marks off his score, muttering, "New key, new queen." No one would speak on record. Everyone admitted, lawyers are breathing down our necks. Theater is founded on illusion, yet nothing unravels faster than a vacuum of information. Every deleted post, every no comment, becomes evidence of turmoil. Audiences sense it, investors smell it, gossip channels feast on it. And when a star stops talking, the conversation simply moves somewhere else, often to a replacement waiting just beyond the curtain. But silence has a half-life, and the longer it lingers, the more combustible the revelations tend to be. Next comes the question nobody dares ask out loud. Was Rachel pushed, or did she walk away on her own? If Camila Delgado is the ghost haunting that spotlight, crew members say the poltergeist started weeks ago. Rehearsal insiders recall a friction no amount of polite stage management could soothe. It began with missed lighting cues blamed on software, lag, vocal warm-ups that overran by 20 minutes, and whispers that the conductor quietly lowered the orchestra half a semitone after noting Zegler's climactic notes were grabbing instead of soaring. By the second week of technical rehearsals, tension was palpable even to ushers restocking the lobby. According to 2 crew TikToks later erased under NDA threats, the flashpoint detonated during a Thursday spacing run. A routine notes session turned into a shouting match when a producer requested a less cinematic, more grounded reading of Rainbow Tour. Prop tables rattled, a handheld mic reportedly sailed across the wings, and an assistant stage manager filed an incident report describing volatile atmosphere, raised voices, objects thrown, no injuries. Company management attempted a group mediation meeting. Rachel arrived late. Delgado sat wordless at the far end, and the director excused himself after 5 minutes to take a call. 48 hours later, the paperwork began to mutate. A freshly printed call sheet circulated with the lead slot listed only as TBD. Normally a typo is fixed instantly, yet this one lingered. then sprouted a blue ink loop around newly added initials CD, letters now whispered in the orchestra pit. Wardrobe logs confirmed the switch. Zegler's fittings, scratched in red, replaced by measurements for a performer 5 inches shorter with a mezzo range. Exactly Delgado. Even the stage management whiteboard, usually a sea of dry erase jokes, now displayed a single directive: strict media blackout. Equity representatives quietly requested rehearsal reports, the first step before conflict resolution hearings. One labor lawyer, speaking off record, says producers are scrambling to assemble progressive discipline evidence before a wrongful termination notice lands. Insurance underwriters have already asked for updated cast liability forms, a reliable sign a formal changeover is imminent. Every amended document now bears the footer, confidential, not for social media, guaranteeing, of course, that screenshots will leak by breakfast. From the audience, this turbulence is invisible, but backstage veterans know it signals one of two finales: an 11th hour detente that restores the original star, or a silent pivot already inked in blue and red. Each new edit whispers that the pivot isn't hypothetical, it's unfolding line by line, page by page. The moment Theater Talk stitched the mystery clip beside Rachel Zegler's last workshop run, a pattern emerged that even casual viewers could feel in their bones. Zegler attacks "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" like a war cry, full Broadway belt, vibrato wide enough to rattle balcony railings. Delgado, by contrast, stands absolutely still, letting the line bloom on a single breath before drifting back into silence. That restraint reads as power, not timidity, and social feeds flooded with comments like, "She isn't playing Eva, she is Eva." Within 24 hours, fan-made mashups crowned Delgado the People's Piran, and bootleg audio from an in-house mic check racked up 1 million plays, despite the tin can quality. Authenticity adds rocket fuel to the hype. Delgado grew up in Rosario, cut her teeth singing tango standards, and still peppers interviews with the street slang porteños recognize instantly. When she rolls an R in Requiem, Argentine fans hear home, not homework. Bloggers who once dismissed the revival as influencer stunt casting are now applauding a course correction toward cultural integrity. Even veteran critics, normally allergic to viral consensus, have chimed in, praising the newcomer's lived-in mezzo and politically freighted poise. It feels less like a publicity pivot and more like the production finally located its moral compass. There's also the optics of humility. Ziegler's meteoric fame carried unavoidable baggage: Disney press junkets, designer gowns, sound bites interpreted as arrogance by some corners of the internet. Delgado arrives with none of that. Her socials remain uncluttered, her captions handwritten. In Spanish, her selfies grainy and unfiltered. In an era obsessed with real, that modesty lands as refreshing honesty. The narrative taking shape is irresistible. The unknown virtuoso plucked from obscurity to replace the Hollywood-anointed star who underestimated the role's gravity. Finally, Delgado's takeover dovetails with a broader push for representation on Western stages. Audiences saw In the Heights and Hamilton reset authenticity expectations. Now they're demanding the same for every revival. Delgado's ascent lets fans signal their values while still chasing a goosebump finale. It's the rare cultural moment where idealism and show business spectacle fit in perfect harmony, and for once, the applause feels earned, not engineered. When a Broadway lead disappears without warning, contracts, not costumes, decide who sings on opening night. Entertainment attorneys murmuring from Midtown cafes believe Rachel Ziegler's deal includes a morals and cooperation clause. Elastic, language that lets producers dismiss a headliner for behavior deemed harmful to the show's reputation. Yet invoking that clause is treacherous. One misfiled note session, or missing written warning, and the production risks a wrongful termination suit bigger than the musical's entire marketing budget. To buy time, publicists erect a smokescreen of project and development phrasing. Reporter, emails are met with, "We look forward to sharing exciting updates soon." Trade magazines receive embargoed promo art suspiciously free of cast photos. Even the show's Instagram stories now showcase only swirling orchestra rehearsals and close-ups of costume beads, visual filler that shouts progress while revealing nothing. Behind closed doors, accountants generate contingency spreadsheets. If Ziegler sues, insurance will cover legal fees, but premiums could triple. If she stays and backlash suppresses sales, weekly losses may hit 6 figures. Early box office dashboards already show a 9% refund spike tagged cast uncertainty. Investors, still jittery after recent West End flops, demand proof that a Delgado takeover can be marketed as an upgrade, not a salvage operation. Delgado's camp tiptoes carefully. Accept the part too publicly and she appears predatory. Decline and the opportunity of a lifetime evaporates. Industry etiquette dictates phrases like honored to assist during workshops, signaling availability without claiming the throne. Agents negotiate provisional terms, reduced billing until contracts finalize, staggered salary bumps if the transfer to Broadway proceeds, indemnity against any injunction Zegler might file to freeze the production mid-rehearsal. Yet stalemate has an expiration date. Actors' equity rules require published casting at least 2 weeks before previews, forcing a reveal no blackout can dodge. Whether the world sees a triumphant Delgado headshot or a joint statement citing creative differences, the truth will surface soon, and whichever side controls that first headline will frame the narrative, the ticket sales, and perhaps both women's careers for seasons to come. Rachel Zegler's career has always run on an accelerator. One viral audition clip catapulted her from a high school auditorium to Spielberg's lens, then straight into Disney royalty. That speed dazzled the industry, until the engine started backfiring. Every press tour quip, every unscripted podcast, riff, landed under an electron microscope. Fans once charmed by her spontaneity began calling it hubris. Opinion columns recycled the word overexposed. Now, Evita threatens to become the moment her rocket stalls mid-ascent, reminding Hollywood that velocity grants attention, not immunity. For Zegler, the route back won't hinge on higher notes. It will hinge on lower volume. Advisors whisper she should vanish for a season, study lyric mezzo repertoire, and return in roles built on wounded intimacy. Think Clara in Light in the Piazza, or a prestige streaming drama that simmers rather than shouts. In parallel, she needs a reputation reset. Charity work carried out quietly, a social media detox measured in months, interviews anchored in craft, never controversy. Meanwhile, Camila Delgado faces the mirror-opposite dilemma: transform from unknown to indispensable without letting sudden adoration distort her compass. If she roots every performance in the disciplined stillness that carried her from Rosario cafes to London boards, she could define a generation's Eva and swing open doors for Latin American actors long kept at the periphery. Two young women, one searing spotlight, diverging trajectories, live theater proving again that flash may win headlines, but endurance writes legacy. Audiences are about to judge which lesson rings truest when the curtain rises on opening night this summer. Was this stealth recast a win for authentic casting or a warning about fame on fast forward? Drop your verdict below, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next twist, and keep watching. The real drama is never just on stage.